With the recent announcement of X-Defiant being shut down, I have been seeing a lot of support for the game. I see many players talking on Twitter about how they will miss playing this game with their friends, which I think is totally fine for these people to be doing so. But this announcement immediately made me think about how these games will not last forever. One day, most modern video games will be unplayable at all, or will be very difficult to do so. A term used in the gaming space for these types of games are called delisted games. In this video, I will be going over different types of delisted games and why these are problematic for the games industry as a whole. A sequel shutdown. Overwatch 1 was a game that was loved by all. 6v6, loot boxes, and a ton of characters with their old abilities. So once they announced that a sequel game was coming out, everyone was hyped. Overwatch 2, in their announcement, Blizzard, in Overwatch 2's announcement, said that they will not be shutting down Overwatch 1, and in fact will be running both at the same time. Overwatch 1 was going to be more of a PvP-focused experience, while Overwatch 2 was going to be the PvE story mode. They also said that if you owned Overwatch 2, you would still be able to play PvP mode with the Overwatch 1 players, just with the updated graphics. This sounded like a good idea until Blizzard decided that Overwatch 2 was going to be a more PvP-styled sequel after scrapping the PvE mode. So now, what was the point of Overwatch 1 with the PvE being scrapped? Well, nothing. So they decided to scrap the old game for a new one. They stopped selling Overwatch 1, and now even if you had a physical copy of the game, you are no longer able to play it. If you didn't hear me, let me say that again. Even if you have a physical copy of the game, you are no longer able to play it. And that's a big deal. With every other form of media, once you have bought it, you are able to use it whenever and wherever you like. With music, movies, TV shows, once you get the disc for that media, it is yours until the end of time. Let me create a scenario to show you how crazy of an idea this is. Imagine if you bought the new Ariana Grande album, and in this scenario, what if a couple years down the road, she decides to make a change to the album? She removes 2 songs but adds 6 to replace them. And then she makes the previous album not available and will work no matter what. The only way to listen to that album again is to buy the new one and play it. If this sounds like a crazy idea, it's because it is. This is exactly what's going on in the games industry right now, with Overwatch 2, but even with other games like Counter-Strike and Warzone. Shutdowns due to lack of support. X-Defiant is just one game in a long list of games that have gone offline because the fan base was just not there. This trend has been happening a lot recently with big game corporations wanting to jump on gaming trends. They put a game together with little time to polish so that they can jump on the latest trends. This is exactly what happened to X-Defiant because they wanted to compete with Call of Duty. X-Defiant came out at the perfect time, with Call of Duty hate being at an all-time high with skill-based matchmaking. They could have stood a chance if they had just updated the game in any capacity. These types of live service games thrive on endless gameplay and updates to the game. But as a developer, you need to make sure that you're actually updating the game with new maps, game modes, and things for players to work towards. In X-Defiant's case, this was just not happening, and I think it's because they were already rushed for time to put out the game. They made the game, and then that's all the content they had. They didn't have time for future maps, they didn't have time for future game modes, and they didn't give players things to work towards. This has also happened with other games like Realm Royale and Multiverses. Both of these games were trying to compete with Epic Games and Nintendo, but if you rush out a game, you will be unable to keep consistent updates with it. Steam is an interesting place in the gaming space. For PC gamers, Steam is the best place to have your games downloaded on. The CEO, Gaben, is one of the most well-respected people in the corporate gaming space. Steam gives a low barrier to entry to people who want to make the games on their platform, has remained consistent since its inception, and gives good deals to gamers through various Steam sales. So, what's the issue, you may be asking? Well, Steam games are all digital, and if you were to lose your account one day or the servers cease to exist, then all of your games will be lost to time. And I'm sure for many of us, thousands of dollars and thousands of hours will also be lost. But I don't see Steam servers going down anytime soon. So that leaves the other issue with losing your account. With physical games, if you lose your account, the worst thing that happens is that you have to restart progress for your games that you were playing. But since with Steam, all of your games are tied to your account, once you lose your account, you lose all the games that come with them. Things could also get worse with the current CEO Gaben leaving the company. Who knows what would happen if he decides he wants to retire and someone else who doesn't follow the same values as him takes over the mantle. Lost of trademarks. Friday the 13th is a game that I remember very fondly. Me and my friends would play custom matches and use the in-game voice chat to help communicate with others to escape from Jason. So when I heard this game was going to be discontinued, I was very confused on why. Then I found the publishers of Friday the 13th Gun Media actually losing the right to the IP to use Friday the 13th. This resulted in the game being permanently taken down from all stores and servers had to be shut down. Now, there's no way to purchase this game from any store, and the only way that the game can be played is offline with bots, on a physical copy only. A similar situation happened with the Spider-Man games on Xbox. Spider-Man Shattered Dimensions and Web of Shadows are games that you are no longer able to purchase. And the only way to play these games are through third parties like eBay and Facebook Marketplace. So, if you want to play these games legit, you have to spend upwards of $60 to $80 to be able to play just one of these games. Limited time releases. Mario 35 was a game that was on Nintendo Switch Online. It was a game that celebrated Mario's 35th anniversary. It was basically a 2D Mario vs. mode where you're going up against 35 other players and the last person standing wins. This game was advertised as a limited time release and was available from October 10th, 2020 to March 31st, 2021. And once April 1st was to roll around, the game would be taken down and would no longer be playable in any capacity. Well, when April 1st, 2021 came around, the game was taken down, never to be seen again. Everyone who played and enjoyed this game hoped that this limited time release was not going to be a thing. But alas, it was taken down to just be another game lost to time. Texture streaming. Call of Duty in the last couple years has been requiring an online connection to be played. If you guys saw my Black Ops 6 Zombies review, link in the card above if you haven't seen it, I said that this is the worst thing to happen to Call of Duty as a whole and will eventually kill it one day. The reason that you need a consistent internet connection to play is because of texture streaming. If you don't know what texture streaming is, it is a feature that uses your internet connection to stream graphics to your game rather than having a big download on your storage. The positives of this feature is that it cuts download space off of your computer, but it also has a big negative of needing a consistent internet connection to play any part of the game. And for some, needing a consistent internet connection is just not possible. In some parts of the world, you only have access to internet for parts of the day, so making another barrier to entry to your game just seems absurd in my opinion. In the older games, you were still able to play zombies in campaign even when playing offline. Now, with Call of Duty introducing texture streaming, you always have to have a consistent internet connection to be able to play them. Even if you're playing the campaign, and even if you're playing a solo zombies match, you are forced to have an internet connection. This also has a bigger consequence of making Call of Duty unplayable one day. The hackers in the near future will be able to get into Black Ops 6 and get into Modern Warfare 3 and make these games unsafe to play. And if we look farther into the future, once Call of Duty becomes a thing of the past, the servers will shut down and will be unable to be played. Why would I buy a game like Black Ops 6 if one day it'll be taken away from me and I will no longer be able to play it? So, what are things that we can do as individuals to get over this issue with games? Well, a short-term solution is Game Pass. Game Pass gives you a great deal on games where they give you access to a library of hundreds of different games without needing to buy any of them. The issue with Game Pass is that you are only given access to these games, but once your subscription ends, you are no longer to play any of the games on that list. This does not solve the issue, but if you aren't going to be able to play these games in the future, you might as well not buy these games outright. The second solution is something that most people in the gaming space don't like, and that is becoming a Steam merchant. This option is something that I obviously would never ever endorse and would never do myself, but hypothetically, this would solve the issues of games going offline out of nowhere. There are a lot of people in the gaming space who want to preserve games for the future. And if you support them with donations or just spreading the word, we can make sure that our games will outlive us and future generations. We'll be able to enjoy the same games in forms of media that we did. Other than that, there's really not much we can do. Eventually, our favorite games will become a thing of the past, whether it's due to a loss of license, servers being shut down, or limited time releases. But with Game Pass and supporting Merchants of the Sea, we are able to preserve these games even if the publishers don't want us to do so. Hey, if you made it to the end of the video, make sure you type in the comments, "I love my games being taken away from me." It helps push my video out to others who may enjoy it. Well, that's all I got for you.